RusAme reader, Kurosung. And today I am reading to you from RusAme One-Shots by Rainbowstar_772. That's me! This one-shot is a smut one-shot. Now, on to Just a Bit Chilly. The nightlight they had was out when Russia woke up, and next to him was a slightly shivering America. America was snuggled up to him and shivering heavily. Russia yawned and stretched a little before wrapping his arms around his short boyfriend. "Morning, princess," he hummed, kissing America on the cheek. "Ya cold?" "Lost power about 9 hours ago," America whimpered, cuddling further into Russia. "Why are you shivering, love?" Russia asked, pulling America closer to help him warm back up. "I got up to go to the bathroom, and it's cold," America whined, cuddling into Russia more. Russia chuckled and let go of America, getting out of bed. He walked off to the closet, grabbing a fluffy blanket. Now that he was up, he could see what America meant by it being cold. He went back to their room and wrapped a blanket around America before scooping him up into his arms. "Ready to set up in the living room for the foreseeable future?" Russia asked rhetorically, setting America on the couch. America got up, wrapped in the warm blanket that Russia had swaddled him in. He whined a little as he moved around. He moved around the living room, collecting the stuff he would need to start a fire. "Nuh-uh, princess, I'll get everything. You just sit still and look pretty," Russia chided playfully, proceeding over to start setting up some stuff for them. America hummed and continued moving around, getting some wood, kindling, and a matchbox. He took the stuff over to the fireplace, opening up the fireplace's mesh screen. "I've got the fire," America mumbled, starting to set up the kindling, then striking the match and lighting the fire. He gave it a second to catch before moving some of the wood before he closed the mesh screen. He placed the rest of the firewood off to the side and settled himself closer to the fireplace, in hopes of keeping fairly warm. Russia came back over into the living room with a few two-player board games, more blankets, the pillows from their bed, and their huge-ass comforter, all of which he set down before going off to the kitchen to get some stuff they could eat. He came back and set the stuff down, arranging it in an easily accessible way. "Are you hungry, love?" Russia hummed, taking a seat next to the fire America had set in his absence. "Not really," America responded, scooting to get closer to Russia. He wasn't very hungry at the moment, so breakfast could wait. "What about you?" "No, I'm not," Russia hummed, unraveling the blanket that was wrapped around his lover. "It's cold," America whined, shivering as his skin was exposed to the frigid air around them. "Let me have the blanket back." "Let me get you situated, love," Russia purred, slipping his arms around America's waist. "I'll give it back in a moment." America continued to shiver, closing his eyes as if that would help warm him up. He logically knew it wouldn't do much. He was cold. Closing his eyes wouldn't warm him up. It didn't have him move nearly enough. "If you're not gonna let me have it back, let me get up and change," America whined, shivering more. "Come back in nothing," Russia purred, moving his hands up America's shirt to rest on his curves. "You're beautiful. Show it off." "Russia, it's cold," America whined, reaching out for the blanket again. The blanket was fluffy and warm, and it was cold. "I could warm you up," Russia purred, moving his hands up and down America's sides. He was tracing the curves, pausing to trace the stripes he remembered being there. He adored the stripes of red that covered his lover's skin and the specks of blue that flicked across his lover's skin. He loved the little star-shaped freckles America had intermixed with the normal ones. He loved everything about the fluff ball that was his lover. Not now," America mumbled, burying his face in Russia's chest. He was both trying to hide how flustered he was and further warm himself up. Russia laughed a little, moving America closer to himself before grabbing the blanket America had been wrapped in before. He wrapped it around both of them. He wasn't really cold yet, but America was. He moved his hands to cup America's cheeks so that he could get his lover to look at him. He leaned in and kissed America on both cheeks. He let go of America's cheeks and let out a soft chuckle. His lover's cheeks were flushed. Goodness, his lover was adorable. He loved being the reason he was flustered. "Cutie," Russia hummed, smiling as he gently booped America's nose. He hoped he might fluster America a bit more. If not, America was cute enough as he was. Sadly, America didn't get any more flustered, just stuck his tongue out at him playfully. It made America look even cuter. He couldn't help but smile. Russia took off his ushanka, then put it on America's head. It promptly slid to cover America's eyes. That left him with America sticking his tongue out with his eyes covered. It was cute and funny. He should take a picture before his lover stopped. He snuck his phone out and snapped a picture of America, setting it as his contact image as America pulled his hat so that it wasn't covering his eyes, and retracted his tongue back into his mouth. He shut the phone off, hiding it away again so he could pay full attention to his little fluff ball. Eventually, he heard America's stomach rumble, so he got America off his lap and set to making some sort of breakfast out of what they had. Once he was done making the porridge-like breakfast, he separated it into portions for America and himself. He had forgotten to get the spoons and forks for the kitchen, so he got up to get them. He brought them into the living room, where they had decided to set up camp. He gave America one of the portions with a spoon, taking the other for himself. As soon as America was done with the food, he was making grabby hands for him, clearly wanting to cuddle again. "Come here, princess," Russia chuckled, setting his own empty bowl off to the side. He wanted to make it clear that America could come over and cuddle him. America wordlessly complied, snuggling up to Russia. He sat on Russia's lap, wrapped his arms around Russia, and loosely tangled his fingers into Russia's hair. Russia smiled a little, carefully unraveling the blanket slightly so he could get it wrapped around them both again. Once it was wrapped properly around both of them, he buried his face in America's neck. America hummed and relaxed, smiling a bit as he started to relax. He still felt a little cold, but he'd live. He blushed a bit as he felt Russia starting to move his face, as his face was buried in a sensitive part of his neck. He could feel Russia's warm breath against his skin, and it was very flustering. Then he felt Russia lightly run his tongue over a spot on his neck, as if asking for permission. He blushed a little, but he wasn't as opposed, unlike before, just flustered. Russia moved his face back slightly so that he could speak. "Are you okay with this?" he asked, waiting for an answer to be sure that he didn't make America uncomfortable. They'd done this before, but it didn't matter how much they did this. Enthusiastic consent was a necessity. America flushed, moving to wrap his arms tighter around Russia. He kind of wanted to continue. He just needed to work up the courage to say it out loud. I would like to continue, America mumbled, blushing heavily. Russia hummed a little, slowly moving his face back into America's neck. So, you're okay with everything so far? He hummed, double-checking that everything was okay with his lover so far. Yes, he mumbled, flustering as he felt Russia starting to lick his neck again. He felt Russia hum against his neck, then gently bite. He let out a flustered noise, holding on to Russia slightly. Russia slipped his hand up America's shirt, nibbling and biting America's neck. He hummed again as he slowly started to trace over America's curves, then tracing some of the stripes he knew America had. Eventually, he slowly started to move his hands to start removing the sweater America is wearing. He felt America shiver and heard him whine a little. What are you doing? America whined, shivering quite a bit. It's cold. I'm warming you up, he hummed, moving his mouth away from America's neck so that he could get the sweater entirely off. America flushed as he felt Russia slip the sweater off. He felt Russia move his face back into his neck and go back to sucking and biting, leaving marks. He felt Russia sink his teeth into a sensitive spot on his neck, causing him to let out a moan. Russia moved back a little, pulling America onto his lap a bit more. He rubbed himself against America and continued to gently bite his neck. He moved his hands and started to mess with America's nipples. He heard America moan and whimper. He could tell America was enjoying himself. Leaving America's neck exposed and moved America up to sitting on the couch, grabbing the lube before he got his lover off the floor. He moved his face down and started to suck one of America's nipples, using one hand to continue messing around with the other, and moving the other to rub the bulge in America's sweatpants after setting the lube beside America on the couch. After a bit, he pulled back and started to take off America's sweatpants, then his boxers. Once America's pants and boxers were off, he started to stroke America's member. He kept stroking it, humming a little as he noticed America reach over and try to pull off his shirt. Use your words, love, he hummed, already knowing what America wanted him to do. He knew America wanted him to undress and start to prep him. He wanted to hear him say it. He hummed a little, stroking America's member a bit more slowly as he spoke again. Your words, love. Russia, America whined, shivering a bit. He was exposed to the cold air around them. Russia, please. America, love, Russia purred, going back to stroking America's member at the same speed as before. Use your words. America let out a whimper and a moan, shivering a little and shifting himself. Russia, please, just, do I have to? Tell me what you want me to do, Zevia. He purred, leaning in and kissing America's neck. Use your words. America let out a small whimper as he pulled himself together. Please take off your clothes. And? Russia purred, kissing America's neck again. America whimpered, covering his mouth with his hand for a moment. Prep me. Russia chuckled, having to stop stroking America's member for a moment, so he could put some lube on his fingers. Once that was done, he moved his hand to start prepping America while he used the other to continue stroking America's member. He started inserting his fingers, starting with one, adding a second. Then he started to use those fingers to scissor and prep America. He watched America squirm and whimper, letting out little moans every now and then. Once he thought he'd done enough to prep America, he pulled away from the other's neck and pulled his fingers out. He undressed himself fully, grabbing a second blanket and draping it over his own shoulders. He spread some of the lube on his dick, knowing this would be a lot easier if he did. He was already hard. Hearing America's noises was enough to turn him on. America let out a louder moan as Russia slowly pushed his member into him. He waited a second, resisting the urge to start moving immediately, knowing America needed a second to adjust. He felt America grip onto the blanket draped over his shoulders, pulling it taut around his back, telling him he needed to give America a bit more time before he could move. Eventually, he felt the blanket starting to hang a bit more loosely. He knew it meant it was okay for him to move. But before he started to, he lifted America up, rested him against one of the arms of the couch, and climbed on top of him. He lifted America's hips and slowly thrust it back in, pausing for a second to make sure everything was still okay with America. America wasn't showing any signs of discomfort, but he wanted to make sure that everything was still okay. "Russ, you can move," America whined, slightly gripping onto the blanket. He was ready for things to go forward. His lover was taking things a bit too slowly. "All right, love," Russia hummed, starting to move. He wanted to take things a bit slow, but he knew he wouldn't be able to hold himself back. It always felt too good, and his lover asking him to move faster and go harder was something he couldn't help but oblige. He was thrusting in and out slowly, still making sure America was adjusted properly. He moved his face into America's neck, starting to bite, lick, and suck on his lover's neck again. America was moaning and gripping onto him, but eventually he felt America starting to move himself. That told him America wanted to move faster, but he wouldn't do so just yet. He liked hearing America ask him to do things. It took a while of America doing that, gripping onto his shoulders and tugging on the blanket for America to decide to verbalize it. "Russia, please," he whimpered, continuing to tug on the blanket, as if it'd get to Russia to move any faster. "Please move faster." America let out a loud moan as Russia hit an extra sensitive spot, while he began to speed up. He swore he could feel the smirk on Russia's face while he opted to target that very sensitive spot. Russia steadily started picking up the pace, continuing to consistently hit that sensitive spot. As he sped up, he felt the pressure starting to build in his abdomen. He was getting close. He moved one of his hands he was using to pin America down to start stroking his member. When he was about to come, he pushed himself as deep as he could into America, not being able to stop himself from doing so, despite the fact that that was going to be a pain to deal with later. He stayed put, stroking America's member as his lover came. He then pulled out, pulling his face away from America's neck and giving him a kiss. "You warm now, Zebia?" he asked, moving to pepper America's face with kisses. "Yeah," America responded, letting out a pleased hum. Russia chuckled and pulled himself away, reaching to the coffee table to get some tissues. He wiped the cum off America's stomach. Hopefully, they'd have power back soon, because America would need a bath, as he knew America didn't want to deal with an STI. He moved the blanket off himself and draped it over America, going to collect and put on his own clothes, before getting America's. Once he had America's, he handed them over, letting his lover get redressed. Once America was dressed, he picked him up and put him in front of the fireplace, bringing over a couple new blankets, as the other two needed to be washed. He cuddled up to America, getting himself comfortable with his lover. And that's the end of this chapter. I hope you enjoyed. Anyway, I'd like to invite you to join the Discord, which is linked down in the description below. That being said, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. Just enjoy your time. And I will see you tomorrow.